Hey, groovy cats and chicks. It's me, the world's most dangerous filmmaker, Rock Savage. And I'm here in the offices of the Savage Film Group, as you can see. And as you can see, I've got another B movie Grindhouse poster behind me. I'm always switching around to try to, you know, get a little variety there. Well, I want to talk about a lot of things here. Well, first of all, how do you like my shirt? It's, that's a old Mummy of Gorgor sweatshirt. And by the way, if you think I should bring back the Mummy of Gorgor t-shirts, because I'm thinking bring them back, how about leaving, down below, leaving me a message, a comment down there. I appreciate that. And by the way, we have to have a profit-making moment here before we start. Um, you want to help me continuing the channel because you know I don't censor myself, so therefore the channel is not monetized by YouTube. And also, you may want to go see this on Rumble, because I'm also on Rumble, and give Rumble their break, because I think eventually we're all going to migrate to Rumble, because YouTube has too many rules. Got all these words you can't say, and it's ridiculous. They got more words, more censorship than the network televisions had back in the 70s, where you had 7 dirty words on network television that you couldn't say. And YouTube has a lot of words you can't say, which doesn't make sense. So you can't say suicide, you can't say kill, you can't say Nazi. It's so awkward to hear people say, he unalived him. Does that sound retarded to you? Or am I the only one who thinks that sounds retarded? Well, anyway, that's why I don't monetize this channel, because forget about it. It's not a normal way to talk. It is ridiculous. So you may want to check me out on Rumble. I'm still on YouTube, but, support Rumble and support free speech. That's all I got to say about that. But anyway, so yeah, if you're interested in me putting out Mummy of Gorgor t-shirts, I'll be happy to do it. But I need to know. So comment down below. It doesn't matter if you're on Rumble or on YouTube. Just comment down below. I appreciate that. Now, here's the thing, okay? And by the way, like I said, a profit-making moment here. To support this channel, and so we can keep making movies, because we're going to be making a movie as soon as the weather breaks. We start filming again. Go to www.savagefilmgroup.com and buy one of my movies. It's better than the crap they're making now. And that's the truth. And not only that, my movies are very retro. Give you that Grindhouse and drive-in movie feeling. Which is coincidentally, it's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about Grindhouse and drive-in movies. Because there's this guy who has a channel, and I used to like him, but he's gotten very annoying lately for different reasons. One of them, he has, he has a bad case of TDS. But I'm not going to talk about that. But the fact is that I'm just going to call him Mr. Raincoat Man, okay? Because he runs around in a raincoat pretending he's a pervert. Well, no, I think he really is a pervert, but that's okay, because I'm a pervert too. At least that's what my wife tells me. She said, Rock, you're such a pervert. Why are you such a sex maniac? So, but I tell her thank you very much, because, I appreciate the compliment. I really do. But that being said, Mr. Raincoat Man thinks that, he's upset at Quentin Tarantino and people like myself who say that we love Grindhouse movies and, and stuff like that. And he says that the only Grindhouse movies existed on 42nd Street. And unless we were at a theater where there was blood on the floor and it smelled like urine, we were never at a Grindhouse. Well, I don't know about you, but do you want to be in a theater that smells like urine? I sure as hell don't. So I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is this fool talking about? There are Grindhouses all over America. They may not be as sleazy as 42nd Street, but let me tell you, a lot of the movies that Quentin Tarantino saw, and I know he's a lot younger than Mr. Raincoat Man, but he's a generation younger. And we did get to see Grindhouse movies. Quentin was in California, and I lived in Maryland. And in Maryland, we mostly had drive-in movie theaters. But guess what? The drive-in movie theaters showed the same type of movies they showed at grindhouses, including, some of the softcore naughty films. There was a movie theater called the Central Avenue Drive-in. It's no longer there, and Central Avenue has become so dangerous you don't even want to visit there. There's nothing there anyway, but except violence and crime. But they used to have a really cool drive-in theater there. And fortunately, back then, PG County, Maryland was pretty cool. Everybody was cool and laid back. And there was only one, nobody cared that this theater was showing naughty softcore films, softcore X films, and with lots of TNA. And sometimes full frontal female nudity, which of course is the best. Um, the problem was people driving down Central Avenue could see what was on the screen, and they would have car accidents. So the theater, that was the only complaint. Nobody was complaining about the naked women. The naked women were fine. It's just the accidents were not fine. So the Central Avenue Theater said, well, don't worry, we got a plan. And the plan was to build this huge fence around the drive-in so that nobody could, you have to pay to see the movie, because Central Avenue, I don't think, was happy about giving away the movie. I mean, yeah, the people were paying to see the movie so they could hear the plot, but other people who just wanted to see the naked ladies, they could probably park somewhere, or I don't know. I don't think they could park anywhere, but they were taking their eyes off the road. That was a bad thing. So there you go. So a lot of stuff that were in Grindhouse movies on 42nd Street did make it to Grindhouse movies in Maryland, especially in the late 80s. But they also made it on their way to midnight movies. And, it was, we were the home of John Waters. John Waters films were Grindhouse movies, for crying out loud. So how can you say that you guys were the only ones in town? These movies had to be seen elsewhere. And so, yeah, there were Grindhouse movies in other states. They weren't in the posh part of town where yuppie scum lived, but they were there. They were in other places. We had midnight shows. We had a theater called the Hampton Mall Theater. It had two giant theaters and two big screens that were like full-size movie screens from full-size theaters. And one showed horror films and action films. The other one exclusively showed kung fu movies. So this is very grindhousey. And, this is the type of movies that, and sometimes the films, when they would show films from the past, like I saw Last House on the Left there in 1980 with my buddy Sam, and that movie was from 1972, and we saw it uncut, shockingly. It's supposed to allegedly had an R rating, but we saw the uncut version because somebody just said, "Hey, here's the poster. It says R," and they sent the uncut print, and nobody cared or nobody looked. So that film was kind of scratched up because it looked like it'd been through a lot of projectors, but it was still watchable, but you had your scratches. And this was the kind of feel Quentin Tarantino was going for in the movie Grindhouse. And I like Grindhouse and sleazy movies because they're fun. Hollywood is, they're just boring, disgusting propaganda now, and they're sleazy in a negative way. They're sleazy in their philosophy. But, yeah, so this Mr. Raincoat Man doesn't seem to understand that. And we had a theater. I just love talking about Grindhouse movie theaters. It brings back memories of when I used to have fun hanging out with my friends. We used to go to midnight movies, and I said, "Oh, look, they're showing John Waters' Desperate Living. They're showing an Italian horror film with lots of gore. We got to go see this." Yeah. And we saw Flesh Gordon there. In case you don't know what Flesh Gordon is, it's like a parody of Flash Gordon, but it's X-rated. And we saw that at a midnight movie. And when it came on VHS, I couldn't wait to own it, which I did. And also, I have the DVD, which is excellent, excellent. The totally uncut Flesh Gordon, wonderful film. Um, so there was also a theater called the Jerry Lewis Cinema, and yes, I think Jerry Lewis, licensed his name to it. It had a goofy cartoon profile of him, and you go into the Jerry Lewis Cinema, and there was like 5 theaters, and maybe 2 of them showed Hollywood movies, and the rest were all exploitation films. You had B movies. You had Roger Corman's New World Cinema movies there, like Death Stalker. You had um, the kung fu movie, and you had some sleazy Italian horror movie, and it was great. It was fun. You know, the drive-in had a lot of really great sleaze. I saw a double feature called with 2 movies. One was called Satan's Playthings and Naked Stewardesses. Naked Stewardesses lived up to its name. Good movie. Satan Playthings was a total ripoff, I'm sorry to say. They took some boring British occult film and they inserted random titties. I kid you not. Random titties would appear in the movie. They had nothing to do with the movie for no reason at all. And you really don't need a reason to show tits, really. But they were obviously inserted into this very boring British film that I can't even tell you what it was about. It was so boring. But anyway, the best thing about the movie were not only the tits, but the great movie poster that had all these girls in bikinis, and they're around this guy in a bed. He's dressed totally in black and he's got a mask on hiding his face. He's obviously supposed to be the devil, and it says Satan's playthings. They'll take you to heaven and drag you to hell. Wow, who wouldn't want to see a movie like that? I know I do. So my friends and I all got in the car and went to the drive-in movie to see that, and boy, what a disappointment. Thank goodness it was the first film. So here's, like I already told you, the movie's an occult movie with tits inserted. It is hilarious how they were inserted. Okay, there would be like some woman would get one of the occult books, and then something in this house looked like it was attacking her, and she was having these hallucinations. And then, for no reason at all, they cut to a huge pair of boobies bouncing up and down for no reason. And then it cuts back to the film. Now, this was hilarious because every time this happened, we would be laughing our asses off. We said, it was titties for no reason. And nobody says, I saw something horrible. I said, what? You saw tits? Tits are great. But of course, this was inserted in there, and it was so obvious because somebody said this movie needs some tits because it is boring. And I don't think Satan's Playthings was the original title. So that is typical of Grindhouse movies. So, which sucks. But when you do get the good Grindhouse movies, they never disappointed. They never disappointed when it came to action, blood and guts, kung fu action, and of course, gratuitous nudity. One of my favorite things. One of my many favorite things. So anyway, Mr. Raincoat Man on his channel, which I will not mention, is an idiot because Grindhouse movies, we had them. We had them at the drive-in. There was no urine. It didn't smell like urine because they cleaned the theaters and we didn't. Maybe the people where I lived weren't as sleazy as the people in New York. Ever occurred that to you, Mr. Raincoat Man? Which I understand he doesn't live in New York anymore. Don't blame him for that one. But yeah, we had Grindhouse movies. The Jerry Lewis Cinema was a Grindhouse theater. The Hampton Mall Cinema was Grindhouse. They had a Grindhouse theater across the bridge in Virginia called Beacon Mall, which had family movies. There were 4 theaters. Not family movies, but mainstream movies. I saw Dirty Harry the Enforcer there, and I saw Smokey and the Bandit. But you know what else was shown there? But I couldn't see it because I wasn't old enough to see it yet. They showed Elsa, She-Wolf of the SS. That's right. 3 of the theaters had regular Hollywood movies, but one of them was reserved for exploitation, horror, and sleaze. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. So there you go. So again, Mr. Raincoat Man, you're wrong. There are grindhouse theaters across America at the time. They're not anymore, but they just weren't dirty. They cleaned the theaters. They didn't smell like urine, and there was no blood on the floor. So yeah, you need to shut up. Okay, you need to shut up and stop criticizing people. Grindhouse movies, B movies, and drive-in movies—they're all interchangeable. Okay, so I hope I made that clear for everyone. And, I think you should continue to watch B movies and Grindhouse, whatever you want to call them. Some people call them B movies. Some people say they're drive-in movies. Some people say um, you know, they're Grindhouse movies, also Grindhouse B movies and drive-in movies, whatever. Exploitation movies. Even though I don't see them exploiting anything really. I mean, just, you're going to make a movie to tell a story. My philosophy when I make a movie is I believe in the Mickey Spillane philosophy. Mickey Spillane, of course, wrote the Mike Hammer books and lots of other manly books. And he always said sex and violence are the components of a good story. So when you write the story, if you're writing a private eye story, there's going to be sex and violence automatically. But you don't write the sex and violence first. You know it's going to be there, and you know there's going to be an opportunity for it. But you got to have a good story, or everybody, nobody's going to care. You want to keep people in their seats. As a filmmaker, that's what I want to do. You don't want them to walk out or back and forth getting popcorn or whatever. You want them to stay glued to your seat. So it's okay to offer your audience lots of sleaze and violence and sex and blood and gore, but you better have a good story to go along with that, because that's what's going to keep them in the seats. It's a damn good story. And that hasn't changed. That's a problem with Hollywood. They got all these great special effects, but not very good stories. And I can prove it. If you go to see one of these crappy Hollywood films, my understanding, since I avoid them like the plague nowadays, is that there are people on their phones. Now that means that your story sucks, because they should be looking up there and saying, wow, that's a great story. And maybe Hollywood needs to start putting more tits in their films, because then people say, I don't want to miss the titties. It's titties. That's a good thing. Yeah. Oh my God, look at the fast cars. That's another problem. There's no real excitement in Hollywood movies because everything's CGI. Why do you want to pay to see a computer game? Really? I don't. But anyway, groovy cats and chicks, that's all I got to say today. I just wanted to talk about Grindhouse and drive-in movies and B movies and why they're all pretty much, they're part of the same family. They're fellow travelers, but sometimes their destination is a different place. They may go to all the destinations. We all know that in the 80s, the Grindhouse movies ended up on VHS, and now they're on DVD. I still believe in physical media. There's a lot of Grindhouse movies you're never going to see on streaming. Oh my God, no. No, you're just not. You're never going to see Make 'Em Die Slowly on streaming. You're going to have to buy that on DVD, son. So, that being said, yeah, all these movies are fellow travelers that go to different destinations, and sometimes they go to all of them. They go to the Grindhouse, they go to the drive-in theater, and they go to VHS, or they've been to VHS, and now they're on DVD or Blu-ray. So there you go. They're still in the same category. And putting down people because they weren't in a nasty theater that smelled like urine and had blood on the floor, that's ridiculous and insane. And it's some kind of weird excuse me, elitism that I don't want to be part of. You never been to a theater you haven't been to a Grindhouse unless you've been to a theater that smelled like urine and had blood on the floor. Yeah, and I don't want to be. And I'm glad I missed that. But I've been to Grindhouse theaters that were clean and all the sleaze and blood and guts were where it belonged, on the screen. So take that to the bank and shove it, Mr. Raincoat Man. Anyway, to all my groovy friends out there, thank you for watching. Um, I also want to have a shout out to uh, to my good buddy there, Rob's Robert Sterling from Atomic Snack Bar, and I think I'm going to put a link to his channel down below because I think you need to visit that. He covers a lot of great retro stuff, and I just that channel was made for people like you and me. That's a great. He covers a lot of esoteric stuff that I don't cover. He'll cover some really good books and stuff, and also he's got a band called Vamp Star that you should check out. They got a website. If I remember, I'm going to put the link down below. But keep in mind, I'm constantly doing stuff, so I forget. But I'll remember this time. And I got an announcement about Vamp Star coming up. Well, you know what? I think I'll make it now. They're going to be allowing me to use some of their fine music as a soundtrack for my next movie. So that's another reason you should check out my next movie when it comes out. It's going to have a great soundtrack, and you can't beat that. And I'm probably going to do a whole video channel on soundtracks because soundtracks are real important for a movie because they really add a lot of atmosphere to your movie, and I'm going to talk about that too for the independent filmmakers that are out there because I really want you guys to be successful. I don't consider you competitors like Hollywood considers everybody a competitor. I consider you guys colleagues, and I want you to make Grindhouse movies or B movies. I don't want you to be copying Hollywood. You want to copy people, or not copy them exactly. You got to add your own little flavor to it. Make movies like Herschel Gordon Lewis and Roger Corman and Dave Friedman and all these other guys, and Don Dohler. You can look them up. They're great guys, and Russ Meyer, if you can do that, if you can pull that one off, that would be great. We need another Russ Meyer in these. Well, we don't have troubling times anymore. We're in America's golden age now, or actually America's attitude era, just like wrestling. There's a lot of attitude going around. So that being said, honestly, we need to have a new golden age of B movies. And you guys can help because wokeness has 1 foot in the grave. Well, actually, 2 feet in the grave. No, you know what? Wokeness is in the coffin. And we need to drive a stake through its heart and burn the coffin with the woke vampire in it. But which is what I'm trying to do by making another movie. And you guys got to make another movie too out there. So, but like I said, don't copy Hollywood. Be inspired by the great B-movie filmmakers and independent filmmakers of our time whose eccentricities were put on film. In this case, you'll put it on video or digital or whatever. But anyway, everybody stay groovy, and I'll catch you in the next video. And I hope everybody's having a good life. Like I said, stay crazy and stay groovy. And I'm out of here.